welcome back to another episode of Just with Dara. This is your host speaking, Dara Smith-Bankale. This is episode 7, season 4. Okay, so today is what I deem as a really interesting episode topic, and though I feel like, I low-key feel like in that introduction I was kind of talking too fast, so sorry about that, but I will try to speak at a reasonable pace, that way I'm not rushing my words. But I'm really excited for today's episode, and it's crazy because last week I was kind of afraid that I wouldn't be able to come up with an episode topic that I really, really liked to do, or really that I knew I would really enjoy, not just let me just put an episode out. But I think it was kind of this past week I was sitting there, or rather I heard something, and then I was like, okay. So as you guys can tell by the title, today we are discussing the hidden hypocrisy found within our current society's politically correct image. So this also kind of stemmed though from the episode that I did with Hadassah, I think 2 weeks ago. The week before last, titled "Posting Does Not Make an Activist." So I think we kind of mentioned it there, a lot of times people say things and act like they're so aware of the world around them and they're so cultured and this and that, but then it's sometimes you'll find them mocking someone else's culture or something like that. And I knew at that time I was kind of I kind of want to explore this further, but I felt I didn't think too much into it, one, and then two, I feel I didn't fully know how to title it. Now this title is really long, but I feel I had to make it long because it puts, I don't know. To me it sounds, I like what it sounds like, and I like what it sounds like. I don't like the hypocrisy, but I feel the title is good enough so that people understand exactly what I mean without it being a hidden message or whatever. So that's why the title is what it is. That's where the episode idea kind of came from. Like I said, I was sitting somewhere, whatever. I'm trying not to be too specific, but I heard something and I was kind of oh my gosh, okay, this is kind of something I need to talk about, which honestly, a lot of people ask me oh, where did your episode ideas come from and stuff? And I'm kind of just things I hear, things I see, things that happen. A lot of times it's just things I hear. I'm just sitting there in any environment, whether it's school, don't start thinking specifically if I know you, but anyways, whether it's school, a store, a grocery store, a restaurant, public place, wherever it is, I'm just sitting there. Maybe I hear a comment or I see some kind of interaction take place. I'm kind of okay. And then that's kind of where it comes from a lot of the time. Now, also it could just, that's just some of the times. Or not, I just said a lot of times, sometimes. That's a decent amount though. But it also comes from different areas as well. Anyways though, to cut my rambling short, sorry. So basically, I think kind of where I'm coming from this, when I mean the hidden hypocrisy within our current society's politically correct image. So, as you all know, I'm sure, this society, I feel maybe it started before this and I didn't realize, but truthfully in my head, I feel it really, really, really took off the summer of 2020, with the Black Lives Matter protests and after the killing of George Floyd and all of that stuff. And then, and even though obviously, police brutality has been happening before that, but that I feel is when people were just kind of tired and enough is enough. Even with that, I think really it started stemming in 2016. I feel then 2020 was just full blown. I think, anyways, that's at least how it is in my mind. Maybe for other people they feel it started earlier, but I'm not sure. Now, that being said though, I don't want to make it seem as if I'm not okay with the current state of our society and how people are more culturally aware about different things and more aware in general. I do like that, and I think it's a really good thing that we have, but at the same time, what comes with that though is a lot of hypocrisy. And by hypocrisy I mean people being so prone to maybe talking about their own culture, or maybe something that they care about, even if it may not be culture related, but just some issue that they care about. But then it's if you try to start discussing another issue that maybe you care about, maybe they don't care about as much, they're not that inclined to listening to you, because they're kind of just oh, I don't really care, or it doesn't matter to me, or something like that. But it's then they'll get mad though if you don't listen to them. So I think with that though, it's just really interesting to see people oh, be more aware, don't be ignorant, this and that. But then it's honestly, I feel almost everyone is still ignorant though, and ignorant in the sense of, okay, I know that a lot of people may not like what I'm about to say, but I don't want to go too controversial, because especially with certain things that have been happening lately. So I don't want to go too controversial as of right now. I probably will discuss it later, but just not right now. Especially because I'm not fully aware of it. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but if you think you know what I'm talking about, that's probably it. But anyways, so personally for me, I don't fully consider myself a liberal per se, but I definitely would say that I'm obviously like more like leaning liberal than anything. Like I would say I'm just independent because truthfully, I mean, yeah, I can't vote yet, and I understand that, but like when I do get to that point, really I'm kind of voting based off of character and how you are, despite political party. Well, also your beliefs and stuff and how you view different subjects to see if they align with me. But for me, it's mostly based off of character. So I know some people will be like, oh, I'm liberal, I'm only going to vote a liberal candidate, or I'm a conservative, I'm only going to vote a conservative candidate. But that's just not necessarily how I view things. So that being said, being that I am what I would say, if I was to say I had to choose one, yes, I would consider myself a liberal. But at the same time, I don't necessarily fully consider myself a liberal just because of like different certain things and things that I'll go into later, not in this episode, but maybe in the future, I don't know. But so being that in this certain climate that we live in, it is very much more is appreciated the right word, or accepted to be a liberal than it is to be a conservative. Now, I know that in my own biases in my head, I also view that the same way. Like if I hear someone say they're conservative, I'm like, oh, okay, like kind of ill, you know what I mean? But then it's like if I hear someone say they're liberal, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, like I can like talk with you or whatever. But the truth is, it shouldn't be that way, because it's like our whole thing is in this society is, oh, you should let people share their opinions and you should be accepting of everyone, right? But then it's like if someone disagrees with you or has a viewpoint that you view as wrong, you like, and I don't want to say you because I also do it myself, but we automatically shut that person down and are like, okay, I don't want to hear anything else they have to say or whatever. And I think when it comes to a point of like, oh, your viewpoint or your opinion is hateful, yes, I agree, you can kind of shut that person down, because what's the point of hearing them spew hate? I wouldn't want to listen to that either. But if they're coming from a place of just what they view as their morals or whatever on different issues, which I don't want to go too specific, but just different areas and stuff, then it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, I still don't agree with you, but I can listen to what you have to say because I respect you as a person enough to hear what you're saying. So I've just seen so much of how, like, oh, if you say you're conservative, people automatically say that you're like racist or that you're homophobic and this and that, which I don't necessarily think that saying, okay, I know this is probably gonna sound stupid because most people associate racism and homophobia with being a conservative, but I generally don't think that that's necessarily accurate, because you can't label like every single conservative as those things, which, like I said, I don't think it's true. Now, that being said, though, like I said, this climate that we're in, though, this political climate that we're in, though, it's like if you were to, a lot of people that would say that they're conservative or that they're Republicans or anything like that, it would be looked more like, oh, like, ill, like, how are you that in like 2022 type of thing, instead of just like, oh, okay, I disagree with you, but I respect your opinions. And I try my hardest, like, I know it doesn't always work, but I try my hardest to that it be that it's like, even if I disagree with you, I'm still gonna try to hear what you have to say. Again, unless it's like you're spewing hate, I'm probably gonna tune you out, even if I say I'm listening. Or wait, I'm sorry, I don't know what I meant by or, but basically, yeah, I'm still going to try to hear what you have to say, because it's like the whole thing of like, oh, respect everyone's opinions, but then once it's like a non-liberal opinion, no one wants to hear them. Let me not say no one. Let me not categorize everyone. It's just a lot of the people that I've seen, the things that I've seen, it's like if someone has a differing opinion from the stereotypical the normal liberal opinions, it's not like people just don't want to listen to it, don't want to hear it, things like that. So I find hypocrisy with that, because if it was the other way around, and if it was like a conservative person saying to a liberal person like, oh, I don't want to hear what you're saying because blah, 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 and you're liberal and shut up, blah, 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 then it would be like, oh my gosh, like, why would you say that, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's like such a wrong thing. But I feel like it really goes both ways. Again, minus spewing hate, I don't agree with that, but I do think it's okay for you to listen to other people's opinions, even if you disagree with them, because honestly, that's how you learn and that's how you flourish and grow as a person. if you just surround yourself all the time around the same like-minded people every single day, you're not going to grow, you're not going to flourish, you're just going to stay in that same little bubble. So that's why I try to surround myself around people who I know have different opinions from me. That way I can see those different perspectives and hear different viewpoints. That way I'm not always just that way I'm not just always surrounded by those who have the same opinions as me. So that's kind of what I mean by like the whole, well, that's just like one example, a prime example of what I mean by hidden hypocrisy within our current society's politically correct image. Now, I'm okay with being politically correct and stuff, and I'm okay with all of that. And obviously, like I said, I'm leaning liberal. If I was to say I'm one, yes, I would say I'm a liberal, although I don't, but if I had to. But at the same time, I really hope I don't get hate for this, but I don't like the fact that everyone finds fault in anything someone does nowadays. And yes, I'm saying this because literally it's actually kind of annoying. Like, I'm gonna use an example that I hope is broad enough, but at the same time semi-specific. But anyways, so I know I had an episode on cultural appropriation, and I was talking about how people are so quick to call out cultural appropriation for someone like doing something or whatever. And that's honestly what I mean by, oh, anyone is so, like, they're so quick and to jump and say like, oh, you're doing this wrong, or oh, you're being racist, or oh, you're homophobic, or oh, you're sexist, or this and that. Again, now, well, not again, but that being said, I'm not saying those things don't exist. Obviously they do, which you can tell through my episodes. I talk quite a lot about how those different issues do exist in this present world, and a lot of times they're swept under the rug. But at the same time, I don't like how people are so quick to call out someone when, like, maybe they're not maybe, but when it's like you, it just goes back to the cultural appropriation thing. It's like you can clearly, very clearly tell when someone is appropriating a culture and appreciating a culture. For you to say someone is appropriating it and say that so quickly just because, oh, maybe they go to learn the language of a certain country or a certain tribal group or something like that, and then you're like, oh my gosh, cultural appropriation, like da 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 da. Or if they maybe do a, no, let me not say that one because I know people disagree with me for that one. Hold on. If they like, I try not to be too specific because I don't want to like. Okay, never mind. I'm just gonna cut it off there. But like, basically, yeah, it's just like I feel people are too quick and too eager to jump to say that someone is some kind of ist or whatever, or ick. So with all of that though, when it goes back to like the whole culture stuff, I think a lot of times I've heard people want to talk so much about things that relate to their own culture, if maybe they're especially if they're not from here, and they're really eager to talk about their customs and how they do things and different traditions they have, which personally I love hearing about that. I love learning about other people's cultures. I mean, honestly, like what I watch on YouTube a lot is just different things about different cultures and different parts of history and different things like that, because it's very intriguing to me. So if someone's talking to me about their culture, I'm definitely going to listen because like I said, I'm actually interested in it. But then when it comes time and I'm like, oh, okay, let me share like aspects of my culture as well, either they tune me out, like stop, like, yeah, tune me out, same as stop listening, just don't seem as interested. Now, I'm not saying be interested in everything. That's okay if you're not interested, okay? I understand that. But to me, that seems a bit hypocritical when it's like you can be so eager to tell me things, even if I did not ask, because sometimes it happens and I did not ask you. Not complaining, but I'm just saying I didn't ask technically. Then it's like if I want to do the same thing, then it's like not like the same appreciation for learning about someone else's culture is not reciprocated, and that's just something that actually pisses me off, because I'm like, okay, I just sat here and listened to your like 15-minute spiel. I'm sorry, that low-key sounds disrespectful. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I meant in regards to, you know what, honestly, I don't know how I can fix it up. Just know I did not mean it like that. But I just meant like hypocrisy just really pisses me off. But yeah. Okay. Anyways though, and then also what I mean by that though, moving on with the like culture stuff and that hypocrisy there is, it's like maybe let's say someone Or maybe let's say you are telling someone about your culture, and and also I just want to make it clear that, like, actually, never mind. Never mind. Sorry. Moving on. Not gonna say that because then it's gonna. Okay, sorry, I'm rambling. But anyways, um, let's say it's like you're telling someone about your culture, and then maybe like one aspect of it or something, they kind of like mock it or like joke about it, or like, oh, that's kind of like dumb or stupid, but there's like cultural and like historical meaning behind it, so you're kind of like, oh, like, why would you say that that's dumb or stupid, or be laughing about it because it's like it's not funny. But then maybe let's say you say something to them, but it's not like you're mocking their culture, obviously, but like maybe you mispronounce something and they get like so heated and they're like, oh my gosh, you're so ignorant. How did you mispronounce that? And blah, blah, blah. And this, and that. And you're just kind of like, you could have just corrected me and we could have moved on. But it's like 2 days ago, you were mocking something that I said was a part of my culture. I'm not saying this has happened. It hasn't happened, but I was using that as a hypothetical situation. So yeah, like I've heard people mocking cultural names before, but then maybe you go and you're talking to them and maybe it's a relative or a typical name in their culture, and maybe you happen to mispronounce it because maybe you've never heard it before, right? And they just act so defensive. They get incredibly defensive. They're like, oh my gosh, like, how did you mess that up? And blah, blah, blah. But it's like, I feel like when someone mispronounces a traditional name, instead of getting mad about it, just correct them and tell them how to pronounce it. Because it's like, it honestly irks me when people like get annoyed with people mispronouncing their names, because I'm like, and when they live in America, because I'm just like, you should, like, it's not like something that you shouldn't expect them to know how to. Yes, it would be nice if they do. It would be cool if they do pronounce it correctly in that first try. But at the same time, I feel like it's not reasonable to be mad about it, because it's like, I mean, if they've never seen it before, how would they know? Think about if you're looking at a name that you've never seen before. Do you always pronounce every single name that you see for the first time correctly on that first try? More than likely, no, you don't. So it's just definitely something that people need to understand, that it's like, if someone happens to mess up something like pronunciation or anything like that from your own culture, don't be so quick to like be offended by it, and don't be so quick to call them ignorant or say, oh my gosh, how do they not know how to pronounce that, blah, blah, blah. Now, that being said, though, I think that if you're given enough chances to pronounce something that's a common, maybe not like someone's name, but like a common, I don't know what the word is, like a name of something, like a common aspect from someone's culture or something like that, and it's very common, like you've learned about it in school, history books, like you've studied this thing in class, and you still mispronounce it. Now that, I may say, okay, you're kind of ignorant, because how are you mispronouncing it, and you've heard it like so many times throughout your academic career. So yeah, but like what I wrote here was just basically that it's like getting not getting, sorry, but like seeing, if you've been in school long enough though and you've seen this word before, I don't think there's really any excuse not to, there's really no excuse to mispronounce it. But if you see something if it's like the first time, you shouldn't judge how that person is saying this name or whatever. And it's just, I don't know, it's definitely interesting, I guess I would say. But yeah, so like I said, looking at people as they're uneducated or ignorant, and when they maybe don't understand a certain part from what you know to believe in, like your culture and stuff. And that's what I'm saying, and this is society as a whole, honestly, right now. It's like, if someone doesn't know something, they're like, oh my gosh, how do you not know that, blah 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 blah, 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 blah. So it's just like, just remember though that it's like, you don't know everything either about everyone else. So keep that in mind when you are quick to be like, wow, you're so ignorant, how do you not know what that is? Or even if you don't say that explicitly, but like you have a look at them, or like you hesitate a second before explaining to them, like, oh my gosh, how do you not know that, type of thing. A lot of people say things like, oh, it's not my job to educate someone, it's not my job to educate you, and different things like that. Now, yes, I agree, it's not your job to educate someone. They can go through different means to find information on a certain topic. But at the same time, I don't think it's fair to get mad at someone if they ask a genuine question about what something is. Or, okay, maybe not mad. Mad is probably not the right word to use, but kind of get almost offended even that they don't know what it is that you're talking about. I don't think that that's fair. Yeah, I don't think that's fair, honestly. And then the other thing I want to touch on is that I've noticed that again in this, in like how things are now, a lot of times people are, which I feel like I maybe talked about this before, I'm not really sure, but I feel like a lot of times people are really quick to kind of like bash white people for like the smallest things. It goes back to the like whole like it's not my job to educate type of thing. Like if a white person was to ask something about someone's culture that they just genuinely did not know, I feel like a lot of times some people, it doesn't go for everyone, some people would be like, okay, let me tell you about it, like they're eager to tell them about it. But a lot of times other people are kind of just like, oh, like, why don't you know this? So ignorant, uneducated, blah, 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 etc., etc. Which, yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of like weird, I guess. And I'm not gonna lie and sit here and be like, oh, I'm not guilty of this. Like, I'm guilty of it too. Like, so I'm not gonna act like I'm not. But I try to like wrap my brain around this new thinking of, don't be so quick to call out someone for not knowing something. Be open to educating them and be open to telling them about whatever it is. And the same with like, I don't know, stop bashing white people for everything. Then again though, I know where it comes from, obviously. Like, I know that there's like been a long history of, you know, like them being the oppressors and stuff, and I know that and I understand that, but at the same time, like I said, I'm just like all for like, well, I didn't say this, I don't think, but like really, I just like things to be fair. And I know that people are like, life is not fair, blah, 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 whatever. But anyways, it's not fair to like bash them for every little inconvenience or every little minor thing. So that's kind of the last part I wanted to say. But I also feel like I low-key want to, or not want to, but like I may revisit this again in the future, maybe with the guests, I don't know, to also hear their opinions and maybe so that I have more things to say about it. But just, yeah, like it's okay to be politically correct, but at the same time, don't let it be so much that it's like, oh, I have to be politically correct, that I can't hear other people's opinions, or that I can't share my own opinions if they differ from the norm, or if they differ from the typical liberal opinions at this point, which I do feel like this comes in with like a lot of the younger people, because most younger people do consider themselves as liberal or align more with those beliefs and ideologies, which is fine, obviously, but at the same time, it's like, if someone has a different political opinion than you, do not immediately write them off. I just think it's really important to realize that. And I think that, honestly, that's why I don't even like political parties anyways, if I'm being honest. But, oh well, too late now anyways, I guess, for that. But really, that's kind of all I have to say. Don't be a hypocrite. I don't like hypocrites. Now, I'm saying this, but I'm not like, okay, obviously I may have some hypocritical moments, so I'm not going to act as if like I never do, but just don't be a hypocrite, because being a hypocrite is annoying. And if never mind, anyways, yeah, but anyway, sorry, I don't know why I'm laughing, I'm just cracking a joke in my head. Okay, sorry, that was weird, but anyways, yeah, I enjoyed recording this episode. Like I said, it's okay to be PC, politically correct, just don't make it so much that it's like on everything you say and do, and you feel like you have to talk a certain way all the time, or speak a certain way, or have the same opinions as everyone else, because having the same opinions is boring, okay? Like, just, yeah, okay. And honestly, in the future, I will go more specific, just not right now, but maybe I will go more specific. So, yeah, also, it's really crazy that it's episode 7, because that means, like, I really only have 3 episodes left in this season. And I know I keep talking about like, oh, I'm gonna get better with like releasing on time, but like I'm recording this at 10 p.m. Yeah, I'm sorry. I will get better though, eventually, one day. This week I may though, because I believe tomorrow I'm recording with someone else, hopefully, if time permits. And so because I'm recording on the Sunday before, it'll definitely get put out like in the morning. So as long as I edit it on time, which hopefully I don't procrastinate with that. But yeah. Anyways, like I said, pretty crazy that season 4 is ending, you know, like really soon on June 4th. But remember that I plan on having a mini-series in July. So excited for that. Thanks again for listening to this episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed recording it. And let me know your own thoughts and opinions about the things I said in this episode. And that's just see you next Saturday. Okay, so you're probably wondering why you can hear my voice again after I just said like bye or whatever. But I just wanted to kind of clarify something, which not obviously, but honestly, I could have like gone back into where I said it in the episode to like say this, but if I'm being honest, that's just more work than me just putting it at the end. Because at this point I've already published the episode, and then I was like thinking back on it, and I was like, oh wait, I meant to kind of I guess retract what I said afterwards, but I guess it didn't register in my brain. Discredit when I said it irks me that people get annoyed when people mispronounce their names. Because that's actually not true. I don't really know why I said that, especially because sometimes I personally do get annoyed as well. Although I try not to, because I'm just like, well, they've never seen it before, so like it's not their fault or whatever. But it just goes back to that whole thing of like, if they haven't seen the name before, like don't be mad that they're mispronouncing it. Now, if it's like 6 months or not, or if, let me not say 6 or 10, but like if it's been like a while and you've known them for a while and they still kind of say your name wrong, then like I get like why you would be annoyed, obviously, because like you've known them for a while and you keep correcting them. So obviously that's understandable, but just like the first time, like try not to get upset, which that goes for me as well, because I found myself more recently kind of like getting like, I don't even know if annoyed is the right word, but just, I guess, yeah, annoyed, like, oh my gosh, they're saying my name wrong, but it's like, come on, underestimate me, like, what do you expect? It's not like they've seen the name before. So I just wanted to clarify that, though, that it's like, that's not, I didn't mean like, well, I think you understand what I'm trying to say. I don't want to ramble too much, but anyways, now I actually am done. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you got this far, I really appreciate you. And for the last time in this episode, that's it. Just see you next Saturday.